Whoa. Okay, hang with me. Okay, I think we got her set there. Room for everybody. All right. Good morning. It's Monday. Let's move. Let's move. Let's start this week off right. Hopefully you had a great weekend. I know I did. Lots of moving around, lots of training. And now let's just make sure that this week we get more of the same. So let's start out with a little bit of a wide stance. So when I say wide stance, you don't want to be so wide that you can't move out of it, right? So I see that sometimes with folks that are new. So let's get the anchored stance. Again, the anchored stance is the fifth metatarsal, or the outside line of the foot is parallel with each other. That's important because it puts the hips into a neutral or even internally rotated position. So if your knees want to internally rotate a little bit, of this big femur here want to internally rotate to accommodate the foot position, allow that to happen. Okay, it'll be becoming more and more natural the more you do it. Remember, we get stuck in external rotation. So if we didn't do Mobility Monday, chances are very good that your feet and your femurs would end up rotating laterally. So we want to not have them rotate medially, but we want them to maintain neutral and optimal. And everybody's body is a little bit different. And so, but for the most part, we can meet in the middle with how we move and how we train movement or mobility, okay? So let's get into that somewhat wide. And the first thing we're going to do is just shift or glide left and then shift and glide right. And as you do that, you're pushing your hips back just like that. So we keep space between the ribs and the hips. We don't want to collapse through the spine. These are some really big fundamentals with how to establish better movement. So this measuring stick concept comes to us from Dr. Eric Goodman with foundation training, which is a method that I very much believe in and use with most of my athletes. So it's about decompressing the spine, expanding the rib cage, and improving your ability to hip hinge so that you're able to keep your low back musculature and your hamstring musculature working in perfect synergy with more glute activation. So just going back and forth. And these are the underlying principles that we focus on. To get high performance training and racing and life, you want to be able to have the ability to expand your rib cage, decompress your spine, and execute a really good hip hinge. All right, so let's take our stance in, shoulder width. Square up the bottom of the feet. We're just gonna go ahead and put your thumbs on your bottom rib, pinkies on your hip bones. That's your measuring sticks. And all we're gonna do is push your hips back behind your heels. Load your heels up, but keep your toes on the ground and work that hip hinge while not losing space between the ribs and the hips. And that way we know that you're not forward flexing with your spine. All right, so the hip hinge presents us a loading opportunity for when we get under external load like weights through a deadlift, through a squat, through lunges, anything like that. So you want to always have that mobility optimized before you get into loaded situations. Okay, let's grab a foam roller. We've just got a little bit of hip hinging moving. We're going to move very quickly, 3 or 4 minutes. We're going right onto the belly of the calf muscle today. This is more of an assessment or body scan. So just go through your calf, and we're windshield wiping through the calf. And what I'm noticing is my calf got used this weekend. It's still under a little bit of healing opportunity because it's got a little bit of achiness to it. It's not pinny, it's no shooting pain, but there's definitely a little bit of dull ache that I would not normally feel on a Monday when I don't train hard all weekend. Training and exercising, I define as 2 different things. Training would be experiencing progressive overload. So just doing a little more than you did last time, so your body has to adapt and get stronger, versus exercising when I'm just out to go for a hike with friends or just a hike by myself or with my dog, and I'm just out there to maybe burn some calories, enjoy nature, and I'm not measuring anything. So with training, I like to measure, and I like to make sure that there's that progressive overload, which is why most of you have coaches. Okay? Feet straight out, or excuse me, knees straight out from the hips. We're keeping the knees there, and we're just doing that same little assessment through the glutes. How am I doing? And again, I've got a little bit of dull aching through the glutes. Maybe you do too. And that means today you really want to focus on keeping moving throughout the day, getting in some great nutrition and hydration so that you're ready for hopefully a good training session tomorrow, or maybe even later today. So a lot of programs have people doing a session on Mondays. So we've got that little bit of assessment, means through the tissue, which means I achieved what I wanted to achieve this weekend. I'm not debilitated. I can move around without people noticing that I'm probably. Okay, let's get that foam roller right below the shoulder blades. Support the neck. I'm going to sneeze. Twice. Sorry. Hands behind the head, support the neck, and just that nice little extension. Upper body feels good. I totally took my gravel bike on a trail that should have been a mountain bike trail. I don't have a mountain bike. I don't really want a mountain bike. I think it would probably add one more thing to do for me. And right now I don't need any more things. So anyway, it really wreaked havoc on my upper body this weekend, but I was glad to be strong enough to be able to handle it. I could not escape the trail. You know, you get to that point of no return where you're like, okay, I'm halfway in. I can't really go back. I might as well finish it. And but I was really happy with my body's ability to take on a challenge that I really wasn't prepared for. I was out for a gravel ride, and I ended up on a single track, very bumpy mountain bike trail, but I made it in. Paid the price yesterday a little bit. It was a little sore yesterday, but yeah, it was intense. It's good to have strength and confidence and mobility when faced with uncertainty, you know, in training and in life. And I was super stoked to see where all of that was. And my fear factor was kind of low too. I wasn't that nervous that I didn't get off my bike and walk or anything. Okay, through the lats, looking good. Okay, from right here, we're going to go into that full kneeling position. And from the full kneeling position, the best way to show you this is this. I want your feet outside of your knees. Same concept. Internal rotation of the hips. We're going to go in and out of a full kneeling founder. Again, from foundation training. So we're going to take a big inhale and pull the ribs off the hips. Push the hips back just 2 or 3 inches. Scoop the hands to the front. Keep the feet lateral to the knees. And right there, we're getting an activation on the back line of the body. The back line includes the hamstrings, the glutes, all of the back musculature through the neck and actually through the head. Okay? So right there, that's loading the back line with a hip hinge and then hands to the front and then just come right back out of that. So we don't need big intensity. We just need to functionally do it. All right? Hips to the back, scoop the hands from the bottom to the front. Now create a little bit more space. Reach with the fingertips to the front, push the sacrum back, and right there we've got a little bit of tension through the lats, through the low back, through the hamstrings, kneeling founder. And then come right back out of that. We'll go 2 more times. Feet outside of the knees, scoop from the bottom, push the hips back, express a little bit more of a reach with the fingertips, and come right back. Keep those clavicles open. As you reach, you don't want to glide the shoulder blades over the ribs. Keep them nice and low. Push the hips up, or push the hips back, hands up, and come right back out of that. Good job. All right, so let's go into that wide stance again. Heels lateral to the toes. Right there. Hands on your knees like you're playing third base. And we're just going to drop that right shoulder down and in, left shoulder down and in. Teaching the upper body to work as a box, as one unit. Hips and shoulders move as one unit, which allows the spine to stay intact. The spine can twist, but right here, we want to really re-accentuate through the hips. So right here, as we glide to the left, the hips are dropping down and into the midline. Heels are lateral to the toes. Chin is back into the throat. Head. We're just moving through those adductors, the inner thigh. Nice rhythmic moving. Good. Rhythm and timing and movement, super important. If somebody can't move with nice flow in the body, we always have to ask ourselves, why can't they move there? And when they can't move with flow, we have to find the glitch in the system. And sometimes that means adding a little bit of foam roller to the adductors or whatever we feel might be the glitch. Okay, let's go into a split stance. This is your stack on your lead leg. This is a kickstand, the back leg. From right there, we're just going to push the hips back and come back up to the front. So now we're working a split stance hip hinge, okay? Right there, 2, back up. Little bit of hamstring loading, 3, 4, keeping the ribs off the hips, keeping the strength and lift through the core, 7, light loading of the hamstring. We're not looking for end range. We're not looking to hang on those hamstrings. We're just making sure that from the split stance, we can get a good hinge, all right? From right here, let's change sides. Get the stack being the ears over the shoulders, shoulders over the hips, hips over the ankle, right? Right there, pull the ribs off the hips. You can use your measuring sticks if you want, and we're just pushing the hips back. Try to get the hips behind the lead heel too. And we're not hanging on the hamstring. We just want to feel it load and then unload. Load, unload. Good. 6, 7, 8, good. 9, good. And 10. All right, back. We're going to grab the foam roller now. I'm going to grab my little one for this one. We're going to foam roll the adductor. Funny I mentioned that. So you just lay on your left side. Right knee is up at hip height. We're going to take that femur in 3 pieces, working down by the knee. Again, if you've had a good training weekend, chances are very good you're going to feel that VMO and all the attachments of the muscles as they come to the medial knee. So right here, lift that foot up to parallel to the ground, working through that first third down by the knee of the adductors. Move that foam roller up just a little bit. Belly of the muscle for me seems fine. And then we take it all the way up next to the pubic ramus and up to the pelvis, right into that big adductor magnus. Keep that foot up. Just get a little bit of pressure through the foam roller, and we'll move right to the other side. So this upregulates the system, right? So if you are spending an hour with your foam roller and your anxiety is on hit, just know that your foam roller is an upregulator. It can be a downregulator. It can be helping release tissue and potential muscle adhesions, for lack of a better way to say that. But for the most part, we're really looking to stimulate tissue to unwind. So it's kind of this oxymoron situation. You want to do just the right amount of foam rolling, should leave you feeling relaxed and open. If you finish a foam rolling session and you feel anxious or like you want to go do a run, then maybe you've done just a little bit too much. It's a whole nother concept. Don't dig too deep into that one. Okay, good. Working through all 3 sections of the adductor on this side, right up by the pubic symphysis, adductor magnus is good. All right. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of breath work to expand the rib cage and extend the spine. So right here, as you lay back, first thing we're going to do is just pelvic tilt. So again, I like to have my hands behind my head when I do this one. You don't have to. Knees are coming straight out from the hips, not flared out to the side. From right here, we're going to extend the spine. And when you extend the spine, that means you've got space under the spine between the ground. And then you're going to pull the pubic bone to belly button and flex the spine, but you're only flexing it into neutral. The floor is giving you that stopping point. So we drop the pubic bone, extend the spine, And then lift the pubic bone and flatten the back. Extend the spine, flatten the back. Now how does that work with breath? As we extend the spine, we're going to expand the rib cage, let the belly expand as well, and then we're going to exhale, let the ribs come down, let the diaphragm get small, and blow out the air. Okay, here we go. Big inhale, belly rises, exhale. Big inhale, exhale. Big inhale. Inhale and exhale. Good. From right there, let's take the feet outside of the knees and just let the knees rock to one side and then the other. So we just got that little happy hips going. 2, 2, 3, and 3. From here, let's stop for a second. So we've got the right knee into the midline of the body. If it's short, it's going to be across the midline of the body. Pull that right knee back and just extend through the hip. And then same thing on the other side. We're trying to create space here. You can even grab your rib cage, grab your hip, and kind of pull it apart. And then same thing on the other side. Pull it apart so that this part of the belly right here, we're deep to this abdominal musculature, is the psoas muscle, but it's deep in there. So just if you can get the superficial muscles and fascia to open, then you're going to get, chances are very good, you're going to get into that psoas as well. Good. Now, right here, we're in extension. Let's take a big inhale. And then exhale. Back to the middle. Inhale, left side. And then exhale, back to the middle. One more each side. Inhale. Create space. Exhale. If you feel like that big reach works for you, do it. Drop that left side, lift that left arm. Inhale. And exhale. And good. All right, so we got happy hips. We got that nice breath pattern going. You can see my energy starting to come up a little bit. So mobility definitely getting me ready for my day. All right, so down onto full kneeling position again. Left knee ever so slightly in front of right knee. This is going to decouple the hips just a little bit. Hands are coming straight out from the shoulders, and all we're going to do is just rock back and forth. This is a little bit of that SI joint decoupling. It's a very subtle movement, but it's also pretty terrific for just being nice and safe and just making sure that that pelvis can move just a little bit. Remember, it doesn't, I mean, I do stuff like this all the time. Your pelvis doesn't move that much. It moves like boop, 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 boop. It's so subtle. Okay, right leg in front of left, hands right under the shoulders. We're just going to do that TT bike. It's like you're looking down the road. You're not full face into the wind. You're just going to back and forth. Great head position, great spine angle, nice toggling of the SI joint. All right, guys. It's about 18, 19 minutes of mobility for Monday. I will see you next week. Be really productive this week. This is an exciting time of the year as we lead into the championship seasons. We're 2 weeks out from Nice. That's the Women's Ironman World Championship. We've got 3 weeks out from T100 Ibiza, which is both men and women, and every single one of these races feels like a world championship. And then we've got about, I think, 6 weeks out, maybe 7, I think 6, from the Men's Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii. So this is, if you're doing any of those races, yay, stay with me. I'll make sure you navigate the next few weeks in a really healthy way. If you're just a fan, just follow along. Let's just follow along with them. Let's keep our bodies training hard through championship season, and then hopefully we can shut it down a little bit into the off season. Hope you have an amazing week. Thanks for starting it with me, and I will see you next Monday.